Hey there, kids. It's Jack Trash.
And it's Chris McLernon.
And if you've been watching these podcasts, you're going to notice two very different things. One, Chris is got a radiator behind
I
him.
do. I do. Yeah, we've had to make a last minute kind of like bunker change here. So we've had to swing some stuff around verbally, visually, and I guess video wise. So
Right, right.
keeping with my 3 V's.
And just so you do, because the camera angle's a little weird, he is not sitting on a chair.
No.
You're laying down on the ground.
I am laying down on the ground. For those of you listening in on radio on Spotify,
that's
picture this.
Yeah.
If you dare.
Right. Exactly. The other thing is that he's gone non-glasses tonight.
That's right. Clark Kent has been tossed out of the building, and you are now getting the son of Jor-El.
Son of Jor-El. And then on my side of the screen, I get my hair cut twice a year for the last decade. Mm-hmm. Opening day of the baseball season and the day after the World Series. Well, opening day was a couple of weeks ago, and voila.
There you go.
There we go.
You have opening day haircut. Yes.
I do. And
well done, sir.
It takes till about the All-Star balloting for it to grow back, but it's
where it looks acceptable.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you'll actually go to a social event. Yeah, I got
right.
you.
So Chris texts me today and says, "What do you think about doing a list for this week's show?" And I love a list.
Yeah, there we go. I was at the gym and I was listening to a certain song which I would bring up during the list.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? Why don't we do this? And we're gonna see what happens.
All right. So the topic is your top 5 underrated guitar players.
Right. Now, the codicil here is, and that's an SAT word for you kids out there. Everyone can look it up. I'm a snot. Yes, I know. This is what I get by being raised by an English. Jack's consulting the Oracle.
Exactly.
So underrated does not mean unknown or underappreciated.
Right.
Like Gary Moore is not unknown, but he might be underappreciated in the United States.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So there's a big difference. These are guys who, if you took them out of the band would kind of fall on its face. And what they do is so integral to the band's sound and even their solos, or like the notes they choose, sounds they choose, which can be all over the map, as is one of mine.
Right.
But it doesn't mean like like saying Kirk Hammett is underestimated or underrated is not true. He's a really big guitar player in a really big band. There's no way he's underrated.
I took it as the non-player of the two of us. I took it as the guys that I didn't used to see when there was these things called magazines.
Right.
Guitar Player magazine and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I went with it. As a player, I'm sure your list is much more, I don't want to say detailed, but probably a lot caters a lot more to the player, whereas mine is strictly fandom.
Yeah. Right. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So I had 3 immediately.
Okay.
4 came to me.
Yeah.
And then I had 5 and 6 real fast.
And so 5A and 5B maybe.
Yeah. So I've been like trying to decide who I'm going to cut. So honorable mention.
Okay.
Is what I'm going to do. Honorable mention. This is a guitar player. When I saw him the very first time, I was like, oh my God, he's terrible. And then I came to appreciate it, that it wasn't, technical is not always the best.
No, it is not.
So my honorable mention is Neil Giraldo.
Great one, though. I mean, that's great guitar solos. It's great production. It's great songwriting. And his wife's pretty cute. And she can sing.
And can sing.
And still can sing.
To this day. But
Spider's pretty good, man.
A very interesting style.
Yes, yes, he does.
There's a lot of times where he's playing the song and you're like, what song is this? And then all of a sudden it just goes right into it. And you're like, oh, okay.
Right.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's got some songs that are not guitar heavy, like Love is a Battlefield.
Sure.
You know, that's heavy keyboards. And We
Very
Belong to the Night is also heavy keyboard.
right.
So he was no done. But man, his guitar parts are, I agree, they're always good. And
Yes.
he was almost on my list, but I was like, I don't want to double up on Jack. Let's see what happens.
Well, there we go. All right. So my actual number 5
Okay.
is a guy that is been in not one, not two, but 3 big bands, and arguably at the top of their at their peaks.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but I don't think he gets the run that he should, and that's
Okay.
Vivian Campbell.
Nice one. Yeah. Yep. I
But
agree.
he wrote all those great Dio parts.
Yes, he did.
So you got that. When he was in Whitesnake was at the top of their game.
Yep.
And Def Leppard continues to be.
Yep.
To this day. And I just saw him play with Last in Line, which is his side band, and he's the guy just seems like the guitar grows out of him.
Yeah.
He actually looks a little odd when he doesn't have a guitar up.
Yeah, nice Irish kid, dude. He Yeah, I agree. He's underrated because I've seen him play close up. He's friends with Mark Danzeisen, who we've mentioned before on the podcast. He plays drums on the Canal record. He played on my surf stuff. Mark's a seriously, disgustingly versatile musician. And Viv is one of his friends because they did the River Dogs. No, yeah, River Dogs were heard together.
Yeah.
And Viv lent him some gear so Mark could get the Power Slide records done and blah blah. So I've seen him play close up. He came over one night to Mark's place in Burbank, and I said, "Hey man, you mind if I hang out a little bit? I've never met Viv. He's Irish kid. I'd like to meet him."
Yeah.
So he came over in very subtle, sly sense of humor, and this sort of stuff. But I'm watching him play guitar, and as he's hitting chords, every note in the chord is coming out, and that's not easy to do.
Right.
It's like there's much more of like a fullness to the sound of the chord than most people. They just got to bang through it or whatever, attitude as opposed to execution. But I'd never seen this. Whereas like it was like a piano. You heard every note. I was like, wow, that's that's unique. That's unique to him.
Yeah. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I had to put him at number 5 because he's right over my shoulder.
There you go.
I didn't realize that till right now.
Right. Yep.
All right, who you got at 5?
At 5, I have, get ready for this, Wurzel from Motorhead.
Nice.
Here's why.
Okay.
He was a goofy player. I mean, so he's one of those guys that sometimes would hit the wrong note but kind of work. And he wasn't very Guitar Hero looking. But I went back in the Motorhead catalog a couple of years ago, and there's a couple of lines in the sand with Motorhead songwriting. There's when Fast Eddie Clarke left,
Right.
and I love Brian Robertson's record. I love Another Perfect Day. I love it, love it, love it. But that's a different style of writing. And then they got the 2 guys, Campbell and Wurzel, who I enjoy both of playing. Phil Campbell is a master of that wah-wah.
Right.
But I noticed when Wurzel left, the songwriting took a turn, and not like bad, but just it got metal. As opposed to rock and roll. And Motorhead, Lemmy always came out and said, "We're Motorhead and we play rock and roll," right? He didn't come out and say, "We play metal." Ever. Metal to him, he's like, "We're not a metal band," And Wurzel, I think, had a way of playing and writing songs that really fit Motorhead. And once he was gone, that was it. And now he is gone. But yeah, that was one guy I was like, you know what? He's definitely underrated because his contribution was huge, but kind of not kind of, it definitely was it went under the radar because it's songwriting. And if you take songwriting out of the band, I remember trying to get signed. Every label would say, no matter what, was song, go write more, go write with this person, right. And he clearly brought something to the writing.
Right. Awesome. Very
good. I'll bet none of our guys have an umlaut in them, and Wurzel does. So there you go.
All right, well, there you go. That'll put you on the list right there.
It will.
All right, number 4. This one most underrated. I'm going to say he is the leader of the most underrated band of all time. Okay. And his playing is phenomenal. And oh, by the way, he sings pretty good too.
Yeah.
I'm going with Dave Meniketti.
Yeah, I'll hit you with Dave. I will absolutely Menishreddy, we call him.
Ministry.
Menishreddy. Yeah, and we're playing little self promotion. We were playing the M3 festival with him. We were on the bill with him on May 5th of this year.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see him again.
Yep.
One of my happiest moments, had a couple with Dave Medichetti. Dave, sorry, get ready for rock star moment here, Jack.
Okay.
But Dave, um, Dave was in Y&T, obviously, and Y&T did, I think, 3 or 4 records with Kevin Beamish,
Okay.
and Kev was our producer in Cold Sweat.
Okay.
So one of the highlights of my career was, and I kind of felt like a dork, but I was wearing a Mean Streak shirt, and we were at the TJ Martell thing, and we've
Okay.
been hanging around with him and whatever. But I'm just kind of that guy that doesn't. I assume that if I meet somebody, I'll remember them. They won't remember me because
Right.
everyone
Exactly.
meets so many people. It's kind of like whoo, in and out.
Yep.
And he comes up to me, puts his hand on my shoulder. Hey, Chris, how you doing? I'm like, fucking doing really good, Dave. How are you? Turn to fucking Scooby Doo like an idiot.
Right.
Barely help myself. But then years later, flash forward to Saigon Kick is playing on one of the cruises, and I said, "Hey, Dave, I haven't seen you in a while. You see Sound City? Oh yeah, how you doing, man?" He goes, "Who are you here with?" I said, "Well, I'm playing with Saigon Kick," and he goes, "Oh, oh, good band." He turns to his wife and said, "When are they playing again?" And she tells him, he goes, "Okay, cool. You're on our list. We're coming to see you." I could not have been happier. Again,
Yes.
fanboy stays alive.
Yes.
But his singing, see, I think he's one of those guys like Billy Gibbons. The singing is overlooked.
Oh yeah.
I mean, on Forever, that's incredible. Midnight in Tokyo, that's incredible. Mean Streak is just fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Rescue Me, he's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. Ronnie James Dio said he was the most underrated singer of all time.
Oh yeah, and he'd know because they had that hearing aid thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
There
Exactly.
you go.
Yeah. All right. Number 4 for you.
How's this for a fucking segue, Jack? From hearing aid is where I drew this guitar player, Buck Dharma.
Yes.
Okay, now before people go, Buck Dharma, he's in Blue Oyster Cult. Okay, hang on. His lead, first of all, the middle section of Don't Fear the Reaper is incredible. The
Okay.
lead is great, the part is great, the guitar sound is great, and the concept is great. Like out of nowhere comes this prog part. It's like, what the hell is this? But played perfectly.
Yes.
He also sings, like you said, like Get Medicated. He sings all their big hits. I mean,
Hmm.
Godzilla's kind of a hit, but
Right.
Bloom sings that, but he sings on the chorus. But the lead that he plays in the hearing aid song "We're Stars" is it sticks out like a sore thumb in a great way. It's
Right.
unlike every other lead is like, oh, watch me go. I'm an LA guitar player. Watch me go. Watch me go. He is playing this weird bebop thing, and it fits perfectly, but not perfectly.
Right.
So and it's my favorite lead on that thing. And whenever I argue with guitar players, no, whoever's better. And I just say, go back and listen to Buck Dharma. It's been a while. Listen. And everybody comes back and says, wow, I totally slept on that one in
Right.
1987 or
Right.
whatever it was. But yeah, Buck Dharma. I mean, his phrasing's great. The sound is always good, clean and dirty, because that's kind of a big thing with guitar players. How good is that clean sound?
Right.
But yeah, I think he's completely underrated.
Totally. The one of the 3 records I remember. My dad got these. We had the Marantz stereo, all
Oh
that stuff,
yeah,
and the big Princess Leia headphones. And
yeah,
one of the Journey Evolution, those Foreigner Double Vision,
sure.
and Some Enchanted Evening from Blue Oyster Cult
There you go.
were
Yeah,
the 3 that I would just put those headphones on and just sear my brain with those. They
yeah, yeah.
Astronomy and ETI,
Yep,
so good.
yep. And they had some really killer titles too,
Yes.
long before Halford,
Oh yeah.
who's kind of the king of that stuff.
Yeah.
But Tyranny and Mutation,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yes.
Who else writes the songs about German jet bombers?
Right. Right.
And they get away with it. But yeah, and they put one on the record cover, Secret Treaties. It's on the cover. But like the cult of, and they had great artwork too. They
Yes.
really did it.
Ultrasaurus was amazing.
Yes, and great producers. They worked with Martin Birch. I mean, come on,
Yep.
the king of kings, Martin Birch, the guy who recorded some of the biggest and best guitar riffs in history. They did, I think, 3 records with Martin.
Nice.
unreal.
All
Nerd
right.
time. Sorry, nerd.
That's
Okay,
all right. That's all right. That's why we're doing this.
your
All right,
turn.
we're up to my number three underrated guitar player is, and I think he's this way because some people know him as the MIT God or GIT God, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, we
But he
came to
also,
MIT. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
but he also plays in a band that is, yeah, you could look at it like that, but it's not. And that's Paul Gilbert from Mr. Big.
Yeah, Gilbert's amazing. Yeah, yeah, and he's one of those guys that got incredible vocabulary. He's like a jukebox,
Right.
you know. And Racer X was one of my first gigs in LA, like opening for bands.
Right.
And I had a Speed Racer fan club card that I showed him, and he did the best pops racer I'd ever heard. So I loved him right away. He's just an amazing guy. And then we get to be on Atlantic later. But yeah, I used to go see them in LA, Racer X all the time, and just marvel at that. But just like holy shit! So like you said, he could turn around and play monkey songs like nothing, you
Right.
know, and knew the entire thing, knew all the vocal parts. He's got this incredible brain on how and that technique. Holy shit!
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
do you play it like that?
I just saw Mr. Big, and
That's right, you did.
he was in the back playing on a practice drum kit. And Eric Martin's drummer, when he goes out and does solo shows in South America, which just happened to be at that show,
Right.
and he was learning everything he could learn from this guy on the drums.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yep.
dude.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the thirst for knowledge is large in this one. Yeah.
Yes.
And I got another Paul Gilbert story, and I think I'm right on this one, but someone kind of called in and said he may have the dates wrong, but I don't know. My friend and I, Ralph Alberts, we had moved to Los Angeles together, and I was playing guitar at that time. And this is one of the reasons that made me stop. There was a Guitar Wars thing at the Whiskey.
Okay.
Right? And we go in to see it, and all the guys are there, and everyone's got their guitar case. And this kid gets up there with a shitty perm and a pink BC Rich and just shreds the joint. And I was like, I am not going up after that. And Ralph looks at me and goes, neither am I. Right? It was Paul Gilbert.
Oh, okay.
So he won the Guitar Wars. So I was like, I was smart enough, at least at age 22, to go, I'm not doing that. I will get smoked. I'll be turning into a guitar owner in 2 seconds.
Right.
And I'm sure there are guys like who I became friends with, like Joey Tafoya and other guys where you just these local LA shredders that, like you said, were products of GIT, later become MIT,
Right.
and you just go, oh my god,
Yeah.
they were just so fucking. They were so good, and I was like, I can't compete with this.
Right.
I didn't play like that. I kind of played. I could play shreddy, but I was more of a Billy Gibbons / meets Gary Moore kind of player.
Right.
So until Slash killed off all the pointy headstocks, my guitar, my type, because I was more like Slash. My type of guitar playing was just like, it's nice, buddy, but where's your neck pickup? Let's go. Come on. No, can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember driving down either Sunset or Hollywood, and about every sixth person you would see walking on the sidewalk had a guitar strapped to their back.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Great.
Right by Man's Theater. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He also, if I remember correctly, we had the same amp guy who modified our stuff. A Metaltronics guy named Lee Jackson. And I remember Lee gave me a copy of Second Heat, like total burned, pirated copy. And when we opened for Paul, or for Racer X, and we were talking about the new record. I said, because I think I asked, you can do anything from it. He's naming off the songs. Like, oh, cool. Oh, cool. He's like, how do you know all these? Oh, Lee Jackson gave me a copy. Completely idiot, not realizing, because the look on Paul's face was like, motherfucker. I'm gonna have me a conversation with Lee Jackson, who was also the greatest guy in the world. But it's like, and I think that's what bros do for each other. I was the interloper. I was the dumbass who had crossed. I should have said, "Really, you gonna do this? Okay, cool. Yeah, great. But yeah, I love Heart of a Lion. Their cover of a Priest tune that was so good. Priest then came out with the demo. It was like, kind of like, oh well, we did it first.
Right.
It's still not as good as that. I mean, God, and they were just you would go see them and they'd fill the country club, and it was just such a sausage fest. There was a girl in sight that it was every GIT guy who wanted to hear shred guitar, and we were not disappointed at
Right.
all.
Yeah. 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 All right. Number 3 for you.
Number 3 for me is Mike Campbell
Oh,
from the Tom Petty project there, the
yeah.
Heartbreaker.
He's a
Yeah,
heartbreaker.
he does not play a bad note ever.
Mm.
He does not play the wrong part. He does not choose the wrong guitar sound. I mean, think of how many hooks in Tom Petty songs are a guitar part, you know?
Yeah.
Um, like a good God, Refugee or Breakdown or what was the one where it was kind of shot in the future? Not Come Around Here no more. But it was one where he picks the old Gresh up from underneath a piece of plastic and plays it. And it's just like a 6-note phrase, but it's perfect.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
And I think he produced them later. I mean, God knows how many songs he wrote, but yeah, Mike Campbell to me he's the American George Harrison. He never plays a bad note. His parts always fit the song every fucking time. Every time.
And he can pull off dreadlocks.
He can. He can. He also looks like the American Brian May, too.
Yeah. True. True.
He
True.
does.
Right. All right. So number 2 is
By the way,
we.
we're not we're just saying in the order if we found them or in order of in other words, is there hierarchy here or are we just going
I've
for
got mine are one will be the most underrated guitar player of all, in my opinion, of what.
okay.
And so now so at number 2 is the big name,
Okay.
but I just don't think he gets the recognition
Okay.
as a guitar player. And we go back to the Hearing Aid record, because at the end of the Hearing Aid record, there's a guitar solo going on, and it's one guy doing it,
Yeah.
and it's Neil Sean.
There's another guy like Mike Campbell, man. You can sing his guitar leads.
Yes,
Imagine the song Send Her My Love without his lead or Open Arms or shit.
Who's Crying Now?
Yeah, Who's Crying Now? Separate Ways. It's just Don't Stop Believing, just one after another. And I
Yes,
remember coming up, it was like, it's Journey and that, they're so popular. And then again, you kind of your ears get open and your horizons widen, and you're just like, geez, does he play a bad note?
yeah,
Never.
never.
You can sing all his parts. That's
Yes,
crazy. They're
yeah,
all good.
yeah, yeah. And it's just and I think now he's starting to get that his due. I think. I mean, not
I
that
think so.
he needs a due or anything like that, but you got Lizzie Hale and Daughtry doing Separate Ways.
Right.
And
Yeah.
because I mean, just that riff
Yeah.
in Separate Ways
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Yeah. And you got to think that's at a time when, kind of heavier bands are starting to rule the airwaves, and he kept up the guitar sound is still good.
Yeah.
Like, my brother and I went to some a couple of years ago, probably like 10 years ago now. I'm starting to do the things, old guys do. It was a couple of years ago, back in
Yeah.
1954.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite tunes off of Frontiers is Edge of the Blade.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they sound checked with that. I was in fucking heaven. And
Yeah.
that riff is it's just a single riff, a single string riff. Perfect.
Yeah.
Just killer.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Neil Sean, no doubt. No doubt.
I went
I like
to
the hardline stuff too. I like the Santana stuff.
yeah. I
And,
like this. I like the stuff he did with Jan Hammer.
that's right. That's right.
It's
Sean and
always
Hammer.
yes. So I went before I was ever in radio. I went to the LA Guitar Show,
Okay.
which was at some hotel, but it was really a motel kind of thing.
Yeah.
And somebody said, I can't believe Neil Sean's jamming down in the Ibanez booth. The booth was a room that they had taken the bed out of. Right? And he's just playing. And after he was done, I couldn't come up with anything to ask him. I was like, oh my God, that was Neil Sean.
Right.
I just said, where did the song Dead or Alive come from?
Right.
It'd be, side 2 of Escape. And he goes, and he just says, dude, I just wanted to rock. I'm like,
Yeah.
and then he says, I gotta play a show over here. Do you want to come up to the room and grab my guitar? Help me carry these guitars down?
To
Yeah,
you?
yeah. And I'm like, yeah. So
Yay,
so
Rody.
we end up standing in a circle with me and Neil Sean and Craig Goldie and Rick Emmett
Cool.
and somebody else, and they're just talking, and I'm just the fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Right. And so it gets the roadie or whoever was the manager comes over and says, all right, we got to take you on. And he goes, take him down to the front row. And it was him and Kenny Aronson,
Right.
and Ginger Baker, and they did Cream tunes.
Wow.
It was amazing. And like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years later, we're doing a battle of the bands. KNEC's doing a battle of the bands at Perkins Palace.
Right.
And Craig Goldie's there.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I met you one time. I was at the LA Guitar Show, and he goes, we were standing with Rick Emmett and Neil Sean. He goes, fucking greatest day of my life.
Yep. Nerding out. Yep. By the way, Rick Emmett could have easily made my list.
Oh, easily. Yes.
Just for the Just a Game record alone.
Yes. Yes.
But oh, okay, yeah, that's a good one, man. I mean, Neil Sean, you will get no argument from me. And again, you kind of go into it again with well, what does he bring to the song and the band? In an era when Steve Perry sold them a lot of records with a lot of love songs, Neil kept the edge in the band.
Yeah, for
he
sure.
Really did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
all right, you're number 2.
My number 2 is Elliot Easton from the Cars.
Nice.
Again, a guy who, first of all, he's left-handed. He's got kind of a cool style of just, his look, but the Cars all did. He lefty and insistent upon getting only lefty guitars, which I really like, a lot of vintage stuff. But he's another guy where the part, and there's a lot of them, the part is always hooky. So my argument was always the Cars are one of those bands that influence Mutt Lange a lot, because Mutt Lange knows how to throw a hook in every spot where you're not looking.
Right.
Elliot Easton's guitar playing is exactly like that. I mean, if you listen to Candy-O, it's that way. If you listen to the end of it's the last song on the last song on the Candy-O. It's not got a lot on my head. It's Dangerous Type.
Okay.
Love all his guitar parts in Dangerous Type.
Right.
Also the kooky guitar part in I'm Gonna Touch You to the World is great. Since You're Gone, it's kind of like 1 or 2 notes in that solo with a weird, super distorted guitar.
Right.
And it sounds almost like a synth. He never plays a bad note. He just doesn't. The solos are always cool. They're always well constructed. They're catchy as shit, and he pulls them off perfectly every time. I've watched, like, because that's the other thing. You want to make sure these guitar players can pull this stuff off, and it wasn't like 92 takes in the studio and they just made it sound good.
Right.
Nope. There's another guy. He's not very well known in the performing aspect, but is a guy named Tim Pierce, who was Rick Springfield's guitar player.
Okay.
Also one of those guys, never played a bad note. Played on a lot of Shinedown records too.
Wow.
That's him on Sound of Madness. Oh, wow. Yeah, Tim's pretty fucking good. Yeah.
That's pretty good. All right. So now we're down to, this would be my most underrated guitar player of all time. And okay. I put it this way because the other 2 guys in the band are super rated, not overrated, because they are worth everything everybody's ever given them. But okay. I'm going with Alex Lifeson.
There you go. Yeah, good one. I mean, and I think I've been listening to a lot of Rush lately, and God, he's just such a good rhythm player. I mean, rhythm is most of the song, and his leads are killer. Like the one in Limelight is just kind of like his ultimate.
Right.
But yeah, his guitar, he's like a Pete Townsend. His chords are really nice, like Vivian. They're really nice and clear. You can hear everything. And if you listen to the early Rush stuff, the guitars are mixed so loud. It's like, woohoo! You can't miss them. Yeah, I love Alex's playing, no doubt.
I mean, just to be able to pull off that sound with only 2 other guys, and the 2 other guys are, maybe the goats at their instruments.
Yeah.
But somebody's got to be playing that guitar, and man, so good.
Oh yeah, yep. And with this playing of all these Rush songs, on the either on the turntable, because I picked up Archives and I picked up what else? I picked up 2112. I picked up All Over the Stage, and the I guess listening to it and going back and like, okay, let me see if I remember how to play this, because that was most of my high school playing was Rush until Van Halen kind of came along and meaning Ed and just wiped the floor with everybody no
Right,
matter what.
right.
And I remember thinking to myself, and that kind of ties into my number one. But I remember thinking to myself, the Rush kind of outlived it, you know.
Yeah.
I think they hold the record for the most consecutive gold or platinum records,
Wow.
which is impressive. You
Yeah.
think about
Very
that, especially
impressive.
in this business.
Yeah.
And they always had a sense of humor too.
Yes. Especially him and Getty for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're boyhood buddies. But yeah, I remember reading one of his entries of like what he uses for guitars and stuff in one of the tour programs. He's like, I use a gas pedal and a flower pedal, and it's like, oh, so these guys are funny, huh? I didn't know that.
You gotcha. All right. Who you got at the top?
Who I have at the top, and I was thinking about this today, and I'm sure I'll get some shit for it, but I don't care.
Mhm.
Is Roger Fisher from Heart.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. If you listen to his lead in Magic Man, right? Which is they're just crazy weird parts and they're good, really good sounds, right?
Yep.
Again, something that's hard to do. He played a Strat and he had one with all this fucking LEDs in it and scallop necks before Engve, all this shit. And his guitar playing, again, it's so inventive. And I think he got kind of stuck between two ugly train wrecks. One was his relationship with one of the Wilson sisters, oopsie.
Right.
Hey, we broke up, you're fired.
Right.
Oopsie,
Yes.
it doesn't really work well. I'm out of a gig. And then the other thing was Ed came in, and Ed, although was, inventive and all that, just like Roger was. Roger, he did some stuff like in Barracuda that is just really cool. That is not the stuff that is typically played in that era. I
Yeah.
mean, he's using open tunings. He's got a really good sound. His rhythm playing is killer. I mean, just those guitar leads that when the breakdown comes in Magic Man, that so percussive
Hmm.
and they're really clean and they're really in your face. And then he'll pick up the acoustic and fucking whip around on that thing. So
Right.
yeah, he's one of my absolute favorites. And God, he looked cool as hell too. You're just
Yeah.
like, he looked like he just walked like a woodsman walked out of the forest. And I've brought the Stratocasters with me, and watch this. So, but yeah, he was, and I think they started a band called, I want to say it was called Alias after Heart.
Right.
And
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
also killer stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, these are guys who were writing the songs in that band. Him and DeRozier. I mean, DeRozier is a badass drummer.
Right.
For the
Yeah.
kids out there who have not heard Michael DeRozier play, go listen to the isolated drum track for Barracuda, and it's unfucking real
Mm.
because that's no fucking beat detective, and that is not tape edits. That's a motherfucker who can play. I mean,
Right.
it's Bonham-esque. It is
Wow.
that good. It is
Yeah.
that good,
That's
and we
awesome.
are going to get all sorts of complaints about that, but I don't care.
Right. You don't care.
But yeah, I
That's
remember seeing also I think with Roger I think Roger had a temper because I think the incident that got him fired, if I'm not mistaken, was I think he was going out with um Ann. No, Nancy. He was going out with Nancy, guitar player. So that's, and I think Ann was going out with DeRozier, the drummer.
right.
And there was he got pissed at it. I mean, come on. I mean, how much of rock and roll 101 is this? You don't get pissed at your girlfriend during the show.
Right.
Because he like threw a guitar at her. I'm sure it's on. They call it like El Kabong incident.
Right.
The Wilson sisters do, and I get it, man. You don't want some dude throwing his guitar at you, but um, dude,
Yeah.
no, just don't
No.
let her get under your skin during Crazy on You. Just
Right.
don't.
Even though the song is crazy on you, don't go crazy on you.
Well done, sir.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much. Thank you very much.
that was well done. Yeah. So, do we have some more honorable mentions?
No, but what I want to see is what you, not you, Chris, but you, everybody
Yeah.
who's watching this. I want to know who you think is
Yeah.
underrated. So
Yep.
put that in the comments below or to the side.
Yeah.
Wherever
And subscribe, and please subscribe.
Please subscribe, please like, do all of that stuff.
Yes. Yes.
All right, till next time when we may have or may not have a +1, we may have another list. Who knows?
That's right.
I'm
Because we're
Jack
wacky that
Trash.
way. I'm Chris McLernon.
And live your life to 10 + 1.
See it will call.